So this is going to come off as really crass, but I don't care.
Welcome to the official, unofficial Sea of Thieves podcast, a podcast dedicated to Sea of Thieves and other rare games, but mainly Sea of Thieves. So today's episode is really special, and we say that almost every time, but this time is really true because not only are we discussing a very unique type of adventure, but both me and my co-host are on opposite sides of what we want the outcome of this adventure to be. And this discussion is going to be a big part of this podcast, but we will also briefly talk about the lore. So it comes to no surprise that I want to save Golden Sands, but my co-host has different plans.
Hello, everyone. It's the 7 of the 7 of the Flame, AShinyRay here to argue the corner for the Reapers. And I bet a lot of you are not going to be happy about that.
I actually don't know. I feel there are more Reaper supporters in my community than I would like to have.
Yeah, like we had the polls and stuff, and almost everyone was in favor of Golden Sands, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then it seemed like when we made our collab, which we'll talk about later on, seems a lot of people came out of the woodwork. It's pretty cool to see, actually.
Yeah, it is. Like the true colors are showing now. I'm kind of disappointed with that. Because yeah, when they first announced it on their podcast, like, oh, they're gonna choose like if you're gonna save it or not, and I was like, oh shit, I wonder what people are gonna do. 80% of people said we're gonna save it. Where are those people now? No, they're gone.
Turns out you can't save Golden Sands with poll votes. You actually have to go out and vote with your rowboats and your bottles and stuff.
I guess so, and it has shifted because Sea of Thieves also did another poll, and still Save Golden Sands is the highest, but it's not 80-20 anymore. It's like 60-40. So yeah, interesting for sure.
Yeah, I'm really happy with Sea of Thieves at the moment. It's a strange feeling.
Yeah, it is. It's good though. It's good times. So before we get into this, podcast proper, a little disclaimer, and I need to say this because people might get heated in the comments. Because both me and AShinyRay, we've seen some nasty comments too. Not really on my YouTube channel, but on other social media. People take it a little bit too seriously. Please don't do that. You can be passionate, but don't do those endless arguments. It won't make you happy. It really won't.
You're not going to convince the other people. A lot of people have made their mind up already. There's just some people on the fence you might want to convince.
Aye, indeed. But please, if you want to put in the comments why you should side with one faction, please do. I can differentiate between banter and mindless arguments.
It's nice that you have the ability to do that because some people can't.
All right. Just keep that in mind, especially with this podcast. Something else we want to address real quick is it's kind of hard to talk about this because I never talk about this, but I'm going to do it. Making a podcast, there's a lot of costs involved, and we kind of want to balance it out so we can keep going with the podcast. So there's two ways right now you can support podcast, and one of the ways is super thanks. I have that enabled on my channel. So if you want to financially support Captain Blubber, the YouTube channel, and the podcast, just click on that heart icon and you can donate. You don't need to do it. Only do that if you really like our content, obviously. And there's also another way you can help us, and I'll leave that to AShinyRay.
So yeah, another way you can help us is we're going to start producing like small runs of merchandise. Should I spoil what the first bit of merch is probably going to be?
Yeah, sure.
So we're just going to do a poster for the podcast. Seems people really like these sorts of prints. We're going to get a nice design mocked up. Obviously, we don't know when that's going to happen. We've got to iron out a few kinks and how we're going to send it off to you. But it's mainly just to support the podcast cost. It's not for us to, make bank off of it. This is a hobby to us at the end of the day. But it'd be nice just to cover our outgoings. It will only be a small amount we need each month. So in this pledge for just £3 a month, you can help Hungry Hippo make content and continue to bring out podcasts and other good stuff for you. There's my appeal, my charity appeal.
Yeah, and as soon as those merchandise goes live, it'll be in the link in the description, and you can
Exactly.
click on it. Yeah, yeah. So that's the quick announcement. So now let's quickly go to the lore, and I say quickly, but we do get some nice lore reveals with this adventure. But before we do that, I'm gonna quickly explain this adventure because I want to be a good host. Some people don't know the. I've actually seen people that did not play a certain side. They're that passionate about winning. So, anyways, there we go. In this adventure, we can both work for Merrick or the Servant of the Flame. Merrick tasks us with locating Sharon and Tina and bring their supplies back to rebuild Golden Sands. Or we can go to Wander's Refuge, we follow some ghostly Reaper parrots, and we meet up with the Servant of the Flame to join his cause. We go to the Reaper's hideout, he gives us a compass. The first direction leads to a new type of rowboat. We use this rowboat to meet up with the smugglers and get a case of dark relics. We deliver this case to another smuggler, and finally, the final step is detonating the rowboat to release this soul flame energy at Golden Sands. And besides these two paths, there are also other ways you can help your side, like delivering wood crates to Merrick or delivering stolen rum to the Servant of the Flame. So yeah, that's the adventure in a nutshell. So regardless of sides, do we like this adventure, Ray?
It's pretty crap, not gonna lie. No, that's really harsh. I didn't mean that. It's a really flat adventure for gameplay perspective. I suppose the Reaper rowboats are really cool, and I hope they stay afterwards. But in terms of if we break it down into it's go here or Cannon Cove or whatever, it's Smuggler's Bay, the other island, isn't it? Dig something up, fight loads of phantoms that you actually have to run away from because they keep spawning, and let you sail back to where you came from. Whereas with the Servant's Path, it's getting a rowboat, row to Twin Groves, then Cannon Cove, and then blow it up, and that's pretty much it. It's probably the most basic adventure we've had so far, maybe even more basic than, more basic than Forts of the Forgotten. So it's not about that, obviously, but as for the actual gameplay of the adventure, if you're just going to do it once, you're going to be pretty disappointed.
Yeah, it's just variations on a fetch quest, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously it's about story, but I suppose if they made it too long-winded, then no one would repeat them and participate. So you got to strike a balance with this sort of adventure.
Yeah, I guess so. And you got to keep in mind, like we get a new adventure like every month now. So there's only so much time they can do, and I'm gonna be real honest. What they can do in a month's time, it's pretty good. I'm really happy with the amount of content we're getting.
It seems the cadence is what we're going to see is meta adventure, good adventure for the finale, like big
Yeah,
set pieces, battles, lots of lore reveals, and then we'll go back to the sort of two slow ones, which I didn't want that to happen, but I can see as a developer how you would, you can still make interesting lore reveals in the simple adventure, can't you?
yeah, and there definitely are interesting lore reveals in this adventure. But we'll talk about that shortly. I actually really like how they do it with two small and then a big one. Even the finale, Adventure 6, they're already working on it. They started working on it as soon as Shrouded Deep was finished. So it's that same team that did Shrouded Deep is also going to do Adventure 6. So we can always look forward to a big adventure, and that's also what I really like about this.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not forget, this adventure also has lot of new assets. Like we have new animations for the NPCs at Golden Sands, like the rebuilding stuff. We haven't seen that before. It's like those tiny little details that I really like, or the castaway camps they made, and they even made an entirely new rowboat. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with all that stuff.
It's true. It's as well. I like the fact they made the kegs on the back armored, and it wasn't just the regular kegs with like a Reaper logo on it. It's a full new. I say reskin. It's retextured because you've got. I assume they have to remodel it to have the 3D elements of the armor on it. So they've definitely put in a lot of work. It's just not in the actual quest itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess so. But I do like the fact that we get Reaper's perspective and we hear the Servant of the Flame talk. So that's new too, and I also really like that.
Yeah, I was. I did have a vague prediction of that, and I didn't think it was going to happen so soon with the Fated Golden Sands. But it seems Rare now teasing stuff at around 3 months in advance, um, rather than the 6 to 9 that they used to. So that's nice. We don't have to wait for this sort of stuff to come to fruition.
Oh, you mean they were teasing choosing the side of the Reapers earlier, and we already get it. Is that what you mean?
So, when they mentioned it in the podcast, I thought, okay, that's 6 months away, typical rare, but
Mm.
it's actually less than 3 months. Or was it
Hmm.
like maybe 2 months since that podcast? Something like that?
Yeah.
Which is nice, because I don't like waiting for things. I'm not a very patient boy.
Yeah, I can tell. You texted me, oh, like C7 is delayed. I'm like, ah, nice, finally got 4 weeks to do Secrets of the Veil. I like that. Let's take it easy. And you're like, no, I want content.
Yeah, I think we're not going to discuss that. That's not what we're discussing on the podcast, because I can go on a rant about that.
We'll put a pin in it.
I'll put a pin in.
Let's discuss the lore. Why is Golden Sands shrouded?
So are you talking about why Golden Sands was shrouded before, or why it's still shrouded?
Well, start at the beginning.
We'll start at the
What?
beginning. So we find out from one of Merrick's journals that the Reapers originally shrouded the islands using the dark relics. That's all well and good. But Golden Sands stayed shrouded because they buried some relic caches. So they're in the sand, and that's what caused the veil to stay. And fortunately for Merrick and Bell, or Bell figured it out, she'd figured this out, and they dug up the relics and ditched them. They destroyed them. So the fog began to thin, allowing people to move back to Golden Sands.
I indeed kind of disappointed that we're not burying those cases on the Reaper side. I don't know how you feel about that, but it's a mechanic they introduced for those, dumb quest board that everybody did in a week and nobody did afterwards. And I was like, now we can use the digging mechanic again, but it's not getting used. So I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I think with the digging mechanic, that would have been a really good idea. But there's 2 reasons why I think they didn't do that. Is one, because digging something takes ages, and it might sort of skew the balance towards Merrick's side. But more importantly, like once it's buried, can you dig it up and dispose of it, or does it just disappear? Like, I don't think they had that in mind on what they were going to do with that sort of mechanic. So maybe they left out for balance purposes.
Maybe.
But it's a
Maybe.
really good idea. I wish they did it.
Maybe for the future. I do want to see that mechanic getting used in an adventure or tall tale.
Tall tales, I think it'd be really useful. And adventures, they're just mini tall tales, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Going back to Golden Sands being shrouded, we know why. No, sorry, we know how, but why does the Servant of the Flame want it shrouded?
We don't exactly know. Typical Sea of Thieves being vague. But we do get a lore explanation why the servant is being so vague. Essentially, Flameheart's dad. Flameheart has told the servant to keep things close to his chest, and that discretion has its place, even as someone is loud and brash as Flameheart. Essentially, so people don't know what his plans really are, and we don't even know if we're supporting him. The only thing I can think of as a theory is that Golden Sands, Wanderer's Refuge, and Reaper's Hideout sort of form like a. I guess if you drew a ring around it, there would be an area like a ring, and Wanderer's Refuge would be in the middle. I think it's something to do with the Burning Blade being under Wanderer's Refuge, and having that whole area veiled may be some sort of way to bring it back permanently. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of.
I'm gonna give an entirely different answer. Actually, that's an answer I find. I don't know if the Servant of the Flame says it or it's in the journals, but they want the companies gone. So how do you get the companies gone? Well, you make your outposts as horrible as can be, so they don't want to live there anymore. And that's the plan. They want to drive away the companies back outside the Sea of Thieves.
So you think the next one is Sanctuary or Plunder they'll go for?
Well, if I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, it would be boring to have the same type of adventure again. But lore-wise, I feel they do have the plan yet to just get everybody out, and only the Reaper's hideout remains. I think that's their plan. Yeah,
that is very compelling. I would be inclined to agree with that.
It's in the lore. It's in the game.
It's in the lore, but Golden Sands specifically, he could do that to any outpost, couldn't he?
Yes. But I think the developers chose Golden Sands because it was so beloved and it was so beautiful. So the impact is bigger than it was Daggertooth. Like if it was Daggertooth, I believe a lot of people want to see that outpost go. So
why
so
do
there you
people
go.
hate Daggertooth so much? Like if you get a rowboat and row in, it's really good to turn in, and it has the best supply barrels. It's just a bit big.
Yeah, I guess so. I think it comes from the beginning of the game when there were no rowboats left, and I think people remember that too. And it's kind of like Order of Souls isn't that great to turn in. If you park at the merchant side, it's quite a walk to the gold horse. I get it. I get it. Why it's not beloved.
I love the design of Daggertooth because it's absolutely massive and there's loads of the island they don't use. But again,
Why?
discussion for another day.
I know. I just want to say they should have made the dock in the middle, like near the gold hoarder stand, instead of near the the merchant where it's now. I feel that would solve a lot of issues with Daggertooth.
Maybe we can put in right into Joni and he'll get that pushed through.
Because he always listens to us.
Oh, you'd be surprised. He did.
That,
He is a Reaper. He did listen to the propaganda.
yeah, I know. I saw that. I'm disappointed, Joe. Other question before we go to the journals: will these robots stay? Do you think?
I want to say no, but I would love them to stay because I've used them a few times to sink people and they're really effective. I used it on a Veil heist as well to fantastic effect. It does so much damage to a sloop, but if it does stay, it should be a really rare spawn.
Hmm.
Like, I don't want to see them all over the place. I think I want it to be a moment where you see a Reaper robot and you're like, we should take that with us and use it to blow someone up.
Yeah, I agree. I will be pretty happy if they stay in the game, but we'll see.
I can't.
They can.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they can always make it like a regular CAG, like still armored, but not a Soul Flame CAG. Just a Reaper CAG. They're like, oh, why not? Why not make a regular CAG robot with it now that we got the technology?
Knowing Ray, I think if they're going to keep it, they'll take it out for a bit and then reintroduce it once it's the assets sort of reverted to a normal rowboat. But only time will tell with that one. I hope they stay. Rare, if you're listening, keep the Soul Flame rowboats. They're really cool.
All right. Do you want to say something else?
No, that's it. I said my piece about the rowboats.
All right, let's go to the journals then. For people that want the transcripts of these journals, you can check my review. They're also in the Discord, or go to Rare Thief. You can do that too. So we're not gonna go journal by journal, but we just pick the interesting stuff out. So one thing I thought was really nice is I think the journal on Cannon Cove, Junior is writing journals again, and he reflects on him being able to write again, talk about his feelings again, like he used to do that. So I know I like it. That was a little nod to the Tales of the Sea of Thieves, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I love that aspect of it. I think what I would love to see from the Servant's character going forward is implementing that the Flameheart Junior, not just being the Servant of the Flame, of who he used to be with the Silver Blade and Isidro and all that sort of thing. And it's nice to see it bring into the actual lore, even though people who haven't read the book are like, what is this guy on about? Who is he?
Yeah, that would be nice. But you do get a lot of information from the journals because he also talks about losing his silver blade, not once but twice. So you can kind of get a feel what his backstory is, even if you have not read the novels. Which you should do. If you're listening, you should read the novels. When you play the game, you have this lore in the back of your mind that enhances the game. So you need to do it for that. I feel like.
I would go as far as saying Athena's Fortune and the first half of Tales from the Sea of Thieves are essential reading if you really want to get the most enjoyment out of the game. If you're going to read two pieces of media, you could probably disregard the comics.
Still need to do that. I want a physical version of the comics, like all bundled together in a hardcover or something.
I'll pass the feedback on.
Oh, thank you. I
have a list of like merch that I want to see from Sea of Thieves that I'm just going to send over to Rare. Like, guys, get on it. This is what I want, and I will buy it all.
We should get the merch guy on our podcast.
Yeah, he's just going to be inundated with questions. No, I'm not going to do another Art of the Sea of Thieves book. No, we're not doing another vinyl release. No Funko Pops. No first for figures. No more comics. Like, no more board games. He's going to be so pissed off with us by the end of it. Like, no, we are doing T-shirts, and we will do a mug. That's all we're doing.
Well, we'll go to Fangamer instead then. All right. So another thing in the journals, Flamer Junior calls Belle an interloper, which I thought was a nice way of phrasing her.
Yeah, he's still got that gentlemanly tongue, hasn't he? He didn't call her something else that was a lot more rude. He's still that educated Flameheart Junior that we all know and love.
Aye, but interloper because she travels between worlds, right?
Interloper more means someone who's in a situation that's not wanted or needed.
Oh, I misunderstood then.
Yeah, so technically that's right by extension because her domain's in the Sea of the Damned. So why is she bothering with Sea of Thieves business? Um, like it is none of her business when you think about it. Why is she involving herself? We don't really know. Uh, the servant knows, but we don't.
Interesting. All right, so do you think we'll get that revealed, like Belle's motivations in the future?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a big reveal about her in the course of the next what? How many adventures have we got left? We're on adventure 4 now, aren't we?
Yes, so we lost
8. We've got 8 left.
8. Yeah, 8, yes.
And if they continue into 2022, which I think they will,
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I mean, I think they're successful for them, so I hope they keep doing it. Especially when it's picking size, right?
Yeah, I think we'll get an expansion to this later down the line, but again, I won't go off on a tangent. Back to the lore.
Back to the lore. One of the journals also talks about building the hideout. I thought that was really nice because some of us pirates were actually there when it was getting built, and we were always wondering what's going to happen with it. And we get some more information now. So we saw those Reaper boxes when the hideout was being built, and there were bones in there. That was really interesting. But also maybe masks, because he also got his masks from the Warsmith, who was still on the Reaper side back then. So, do you think that's the case?
Yeah, so Wanda has this thing of covering up her face to sort of hide her anger. She mentions it in one of her journals. This is after she got defeated as the Warsmith and became the Masked Stranger. So I think by extension, she giving the mask to Flameheart Jr. was that sort of idea of discretion. So he's covering up his face to sort of hide his true intentions.
Mm.
And it sort of it has its place as well. It hides the fact he's a skeleton lord underneath. Spoilers, by the way. And yeah, it's a nice nod, and we get some more discussion about their relationship, which is really interesting. So, Junior was toiling below the Reaper's hideout doing something. What he's doing there, we don't exactly know, but we have an idea. It could be something to do with the chalice, something to do with the burning blade, or maybe an actual hideout underneath. Whereas Wanda was constructing it above. We've got this sort of contrast between their two actions, but following the fallout between Flameheart Senior and Wanda, she declared she declared her love for him, and he basically said, "Nah, I'm not really interested in that." So that spurned her. She doesn't like Flameheart anymore. So the servant sees this as a betrayal, and he's still quite stung by it, despite sort of, I guess he doesn't really understand why it happened. But he basically pledges that he's going to kill the Warsmith when he gets the chance. And knowing Flameheart Jr. with that wicked swordsmanship, he's probably going to do it in one of these adventures, which would be pretty cool to see.
Interesting. Yeah, he's very emotional, isn't he?
He is, yeah, and for good reason. He has a very good relationship from his dad, as we learn from the books. I think that's very misunderstood from a lot of people who interpret, oh, he's got daddy issues, etc. Daddy issues arise from you have an absent father, which is sort of the case when he goes back to the Sea of Thieves, but I assume he's already an adult at that point. But Flameheart Jr. and Flameheart Sr. had this relationship of a normal father and son where, Flameheart actually did love the servant, the way he talks about it in the book, and he told him about his adventures on the Sea of Thieves. So it's not more so he's trying to live up to his dad's disappointment in him. He's trying to live up to the fact that his dad's a fantastic pirate from all the stories and all the, the tales from the Sea of Thieves as it is. It's not so much a toxic relationship as it is a really good relationship. And this is expanded upon from the fact that his love for his dad cut through the thrall from the captain. So his dedication was that much, and they got on so well that was enough to get out of the captain's grasp, which is quite a powerful thing when you consider who the captain has under his control.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Yeah.
Long run, but there we go.
Yeah, you kind of explained everything I want to talk about, but that's good. I thought it was a bit of a lame explanation. Like, my devotion to my father is so strong, I was able to get away from the grasp of the captain. People are devoted in the Sea of Thieves, so why can't other people get away from the captain?
I think it's the relationship between the two is that strong, but it also something else has transpired there that we don't know about that has caused him to break away from his dad,
Mm-hmm.
from the captain. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it's so much as he just like wakes up one day and he's like, oh, I just really like my dad, I want to bring him back. Um, Something has happened, a catalyst to cause that to be severed. So maybe learning about the truth, about what happened, or that his father is not actually dead. Something like that has caused him to think, hang on, I can bring my dad back. I'm not being with the
Hmm.
captain anymore.
Do you think that will get explored, or is this the
Yeah,
answer?
either in the book or I think in an upcoming adventure. I think we're going to look through, the special lantern, and we're going to see flashbacks, or maybe even go to the Sea of the Damned to see this happen.
Would be cool. Yeah, would definitely be cool. You can do so much with memories, right?
I really like using the lantern and Sea of the Damned to see memories. I like seeing these things unfold. It's part of showing and not telling that I really like. But yeah, with the I was going to say with the Warsmith though, how do you feel about the fact that he's so annoyed about it that he physically wants to destroy it? Do you think that's sort of in the servant's character, or why do you think he feels so strongly about that? In your opinion,
Oh, that's a good one. I just feel he feels betrayed. Mm, that's a strong motivation. That's how I see it.
it's true, but you read the journal, and he's very passionate about killing her, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's also very passionate about not disappointing his father. So that's I just write it off as him being quite an emotional person.
Yeah, and that is part of the course of his character in the book as well. Um,
You think differently then?
no, I think it's so much so that it's not so much that Flameheart's disappointed in him. I think it's him trying to live up to Flameheart's legacy, be it good or bad, from when he was before a Skeleton Lord and afterwards. But there's obviously something there between what's Flameheart has told him to sort of change his mind, because in the book he's a good character. I'd say he's like, he's plucky and he's full of spirit and he's a nice character. He's pleasant, isn't he? Um,
Yeah.
for him to turn so rapidly, does that mean that Flameheart's corrupted him, or does Flameheart have a genuine justification for why he should be doing these things?
Yeah, that's interesting because we don't really know. I think maybe it has to do with the skeleton curse as well, because it does change people, and maybe it changed Junior for the worse.
Exactly. So we look at Flameheart when he talks about the Sea of Thieves. We're talking about Flameheart Senior now. The way he describes certain aspects to Junior, like the Pirate Lord and the Ferryman, he doesn't explain them with disgust and rivalry and ire. He talks about these people very positively. So there was a point in Flameheart Senior's lifetime, could be that he's come back to the Sea of Thieves and the trading companies are a thing, that's caused him to flip and change his opinion on these sorts of things.
Hmm.
But I'm sure we'll get this revealed in the novel.
Yeah, can't wait to read that.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
So
I'm
excited.
counting down
I
the days.
um all right, so one more thing I want to discuss for the lore is Junior talks about father returning to claim his throne.
I want to hear your opinion on this first, because you know where I'll go with this.
Yeah, I know, because I don't have an opinion. Like I know your theories, and if I think of a throne, it could be the only throne I know. Well, there are skeleton thrones, I guess, but I think of the throne in on the shores of gold.
Hmm.
That could have been the throne of the king of the ancients, if we presume they have a king and it's not just the high priest that is the boss.
Yeah,
However, throne could also just mean ruler, and Flameheart has talked about that before, that he wants to rule the Sea of Thieves, and he also said he was born to rule the Sea of Thieves. So you see that as ammunition for your arguments, but it could just be a way of saying things, and the same could be the case here. It could be expressing his desire to rule, and that's why they use the word throne. And I'll leave the other speculation to you now.
so there's a few ways you can interpret this. So the fact that he returns to claim his throne, is he returning to a throne he previously had? Or is he returning just to claim a throne, like a seat of power? Or is it in the, like you said, in the actual literal sense where he is literally going to claim a throne, be it the one in the Shores of Gold, or maybe
The Skeleton Throne on Shipwreck Bay. That's the one we're talking about.
This is where I had my first kiss with the Siren Queen. No, there's another one in the Shrine of. I always get these mixed up. The one by Thieves Haven. Is that Shrine of Ancient Tears? It is Shrine of Ancient Tears, isn't it? There's one in there as well. So we don't know. The whole king thing and Born to Rule the Sea of Thieves, along with other things, I just see it as really on the nose. And I know a few people fight me every step of the way through little get out clauses and sort of examples where rare as we know aren't always consistent with the lore, or change lore as sort of reveals when they come out later, if you know what I mean. I don't know. Could it mean that he's the Siren King? Maybe. The new page where it's talking about him being a warmonger and he has a thirst for battle, etc. Comparing that to the Warrior's journal entry in what's it called, Stars of the Thief. His thirst for war still lives on. It's a bit on the nose for me, as well as the theme sharing with the Siren Queen.
Yeah, there are definitely hints. I always give you that. I will never stop doing that. There are a lot of hints that support your theory. That's true.
If we're ever gonna get a reveal, I think it'll be in the book. I think it'll be in the last chapter, and it'll sort of twist it. But jury's still out on that. If it is the case, I'll be very happy.
Yeah, it would be good for sales. You want to know the truth? Read the novel. You gotta buy it.
Yeah, you got to learn the biggest lore bomb we've ever had in the novel. Now available for pre-order from Titan Books for £7.99. That wasn't an ad, by the way. But it is cheap. It's a cheap book.
Wow, that's amazing. That's great. Yeah, you should definitely buy it. That's a steal, man.
It is a steal.
So let's start this next part of the podcast. Most of you guys that are listening already know, but we both did a video about why we think our side should win. We had similar titles, similar thumbnails. We both released it at the exact same time, and we both encouraged our subscribers to watch each other's propaganda. And that went really well, actually. It was a really happy collaboration. So how did we start with this? Like, did we come up with this or what?
So it went through, I think, 2 iterations, didn't it? I originally planned to have a video on which side would be better, and you would just do your part in my video. But you decided to split it into 2 videos to make it more of a collaboration and more focused. So we went with that, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I think that was the better way of doing it, because we had that promotion at the end, and we had the thumbnails, and we had the release time. It was like a good cross promotion. But yeah, I hope we get to do something like this again, because I had a bunch of fun making that video.
Yeah, same. And I was lying in bed. I think that usually starts with video ideas in bed. And I was like, oh man, I really want Golden Sands to be saved. I really should make a video about it and maybe convince some people, maybe convince some subscribers. And you were doing the same. So we did the actual videos independent of each other. We didn't read each other's scripts at all. We had no idea what the other one was saying. Well, except Ray, because I did send my video over for him to approve. And he was like, yeah, that will go well with my video. So he knew, I didn't. So that's the only thing. And Ray made the thumbnails. He did a great job on the thumbnails, by the way. And that's how it started. Yeah.
Finally, you like my thumbnails.
I do. And you also helped me with the titles for one of my future videos, which will release Sunday. So
excited about that one.
Me too. It's a really good thumbnail too. I don't know. I love it. You can do all my titles now.
You know, it takes time, but yeah, I won't go into it too much. But you need to go through a few iterations. But having the same title and the same thumbnail, I think it was the best thing we could have done, because people immediately think they're so closely associated. I'll watch the other video now, and then you get both sides of the story.
Mm-hmm. Yep, indeed. It was good for traffic as well. It's been a while. I know my insider videos always spike because people really want to see all the insider rewards. And this one spiked as well. I got a bunch of views and a bunch of new subscribers that are hopefully also listening to this podcast. So welcome to the crew.
Exactly. I think it was both our best videos for a long time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which is a testament to not only how cool the topic is, but how much traffic Sea of Thieves is getting at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure. Yeah, you saw it with other smaller YouTubers as well. As soon as they covered, Golden Sands or picking a side, it does really do well. So I hope we get more.
Playthroughs video.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
god,
I'm
it's
talking about playthrough.
infectious.
Yeah,
I saw that. I was like, I've seen a lot of playthroughs videos before, and he's a really talented content creator.
mm.
But like,
They isn't it? It's two people, isn't it?
so
That do the.
Ambrosa is his friend who also makes similar videos, and they collaborate a lot. Excuse me if I don't know if anyone else is involved in the project, but this is as far as I know with their videos. But you've got like sketches and almost like sitcoms that they're so well voice acted and so well written, and they're really professionally filmed as well. And it's nice to see playthroughs video just taking off. And you've got other YouTubers as well promoting it, like Fuzzy Bond. But yeah, if you listen to the video, watch playthroughs videos. Blubber, you can put this link in the description.
Yeah, I will. I think the video we're talking about is called "I Choose the Wrong Side."
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
god. I was the way it was filmed as well. It's like a proper mockumentary. Guys,
it
go
is.
watch it. I was in stitches watching it. It was so much fun. And Playthrough's channel is going to take off now, which is really good for him. And it's a
Yeah.
different kind of content as well that I think everyone can enjoy, regardless of what you're into with Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, I agree because I don't really like, and you know this. I don't think my subscribers know this, but I don't really like those tutorial videos about Sea of Thieves or people that do a recap. All right, this is new in Emporium. Oh, shit, I shouldn't say this out loud because UK does that. Uh, that's not content for me because I already know that, right? I'm a content creator myself. That type of content doesn't interest me. But machinimas and things that put emphasis on humor, well, they do. I really enjoy that. So yeah, definitely go check out playthrough.
With machinimas, it's always tough as well because you need to make it really high production, and the voice acting needs to be on point. And Playthrough and Ambrose's channel as well, they have good quality mics and they're really good at voice acting. So
Yes,
it's
they
always
are.
a treat to watch, and they deserve a lot more views than they currently get. And I think that's going to be the case going forward, thankfully.
I think so too. All right, enough promotion now. Anything else you want to talk about or collaboration?
No, I just hope Rare gives us the opportunity to do something like this again. Please, please let us choose sides again. This has been so much fun.
I totally agree. So we're gonna go to the message in the bottle now, which won't be the last segment. Usually it is, but this time it isn't. You will get why in a minute. So what is messages in the bottle? Well, it's a segment of the podcast where our listeners can send in their own questions and we answer them. If you want to send your own questions, you can join the Salty Hippo Discord. Link will be in the YouTube description. Usually, when we record a podcast, I'll put an announcement and people can pose their questions. This time, however, I also asked our subscribers to give their best arguments of why they think their side should win. So we're going to discuss both these arguments and their questions. So the first one is from Ilwash, and we'll do his argument first. My argument for destroying Golden Sands is mostly all the points Ray had brought up before. Corrupt trading companies, incompetent pirate lord, threat of the captain, and the Grand Maritime Union only being able to be dealt with by someone as powerful as Flameheart. So let's go discuss these arguments bit by bit. Corrupt trading companies. So he thinks Reapers should win because the trading companies are corrupt. And you can take this first.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen my side of the argument, the trading companies operate in a very one-sided basis, and you don't really get a lot of this from the gameplay, and I don't expect people to because it's not really explained very well outside the extended universe. So the three trading companies have a mode of operation where they essentially rip you off, and this isn't just propaganda. This is how the trading companies work. So with the Golden Sands, the Gold Hoarders. Originally, they were formed by the Gold Hoarder and Stitcher Jim. They were a gang. Essentially, they arose from Pirate Lord locking up all his treasure in loads of chests, and you could only open them with his set of skeleton keys. It was essentially a way to force people to work together because he was afraid of the curses of the Sea of Thieves and what it was doing to people. The Gold Hoarder stole this from him and formed the gang with Stitcher Jim and decided to make loads of money from digging up all these chests and taking the gold out. But they decided to sort of streamline the process by recruiting people from outside the gang, giving them a skeleton key and putting one on each outpost around the Sea of Thieves. And the racket was they'd sell your map to treasure. You'd go and risk everything for the treasure, be it dying, getting pillaged by other pirates, etc., or getting cursed yourself. You bring the chest back if you're lucky. and they would open the chest with their skeleton keys. They'd take most of the gold, and you'd get a cut. So with the remaining gold, the gold hoarder representatives get a cut themselves, but most of it goes to the gold hoarder at Tribute Peak. And that's sort of, it's exploitative because the gold hoarders don't have the means to get the treasure themselves, but they still pay you to a pittance as well to go through all the danger of getting it. And with the Order of Souls, is much more simple than that. They want to hunt down skeletons because they've got secrets of, be it trinkets, treasure, curse objects. They'll sell you a bounty. You go and risk your life to get their skulls, and they take the secrets outside their heads. They give you money, but they keep the secrets for themselves, so you don't have access to that. Excuse me. And finally, Merchant Alliance. They get pirates to steal treasure from the Grand Maritime Union and sell it for a profit around the Sea of Thieves. Or they get you to find lost shipments, recover their cargo, etc., etc. You guys know the gameplay. And they're making a profit off of this, and you're getting a small cut of it. The biggest issue there is that if the Grand Maritime Union, who's probably the biggest threat to the Sea of Thieves, disappears, then the Merchant Alliance profits do, because then they can't source their goods. So they're sort of supporting a necessary evil, in a sense. That's probably the weakest argument out of all of them, but they're still making profit off of your hard work, and you only get a small cut of it.
I'm just picturing a sloop full of chicken coops, like everywhere, just going back to the shrine to deliver the chickens in the real world. There's some quality chickens right here.
Yeah, 10 gold. What? I get like 1,500. It's got gold feathers. That's a blonde chicken. What? But it's rare from where I come from. All right, okay. Whatever you say.
It's interesting because I always thought gold hoarders were corrupt. I didn't see the same for the Merchant Alliance or the Souls. Because like, what are we gonna do with the skulls? We're not practicing the dark arts. Like, I'm glad we get at least some money of it. Plus, they do help us, the companies, with the, discovering the lore of Sea of Thieves, and that's what I really like. Like the the shrines as well. The fact that we get the lore behind the warrior and the curse, the sunken, what is it? The blue curse.
Sorrow.
Yeah. And that was put together by a scholar and a gold hoarder. So if that gold hoarder wasn't there, there were no maps that would have led us to that nice lore revelation. So I always picture the companies as also enriching the Sea of Thieves, with making us explore it in ways we couldn't do when we were just a pirate.
But in the same sense, could you argue that the Order of Souls, the Order of Souls, hoarding those secrets from you, and you can only learn them if you basically get into their little club of 7 or 8 or so members. And obviously there's a few other characters in the books as well. They have secrets that are very important to discovery, to the Sea of Thieves itself, but they hoard them for themselves, and that knowledge is more valuable than the gold they give you.
Yeah, I guess so. But also the Order of Souls also can discover where treasure is buried, and they make maps with their knowledge, and those maps get sold to the gold hoarders, and the gold hoarder sells those maps again to us, and we can dig it up. And that's how the economy works. But if the Order of Souls wasn't there, we wouldn't know where that treasure was in the first place. So we do get richer thanks to the Order of Souls.
We get richer, but they get richer off of us.
Yes.
And
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
They're also supporting the gold hoarder, who, as we know, has very little redeeming qualities, even compared to other skeleton lords.
Yeah, indeed. But just because the companies are corrupt, do we want them away?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Slipping into roleplay again here. If the Sea of Thieves didn't have trading companies or an economy, like the early days of it being a wild frontier, people can amass fortunes and they can find secrets, and they might get cursed, which is part of the issue of not having order. You will suffer the consequences of not having this, say, preordained government or rules. But that also is the price of freedom, that you're also at mercy of the dangers of freedom. It's a whole philosophical argument that's Rare's pitting against us here between
Mm.
order and chaos, freedom, anarchy versus, government and rules.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
if all that didn't exist, if I wanted to go and kill a skeleton lord, and if as long as I had the powers of divination to get the secrets out of its skull, I can take that if I want to, and then use that knowledge for if I want to get curse object, if I want to turn myself into a skeleton, if I want to get treasure. Or with the gold, if originally the pirate lord didn't lock up all this treasure away, I could have all the gold in there and amass my own fortune like he did. So why is it fair that the pirate lord's allowed to do that but no one else is?
Mm. I get that. Yeah, I get that. So the Order of Souls should be a learning institution.
Almost, yeah. Like, it's like, for example, I don't like using real life examples, but this isn't a very controversial one. It's like only certain people can go to university in some countries because it's so expensive. So you're sort of gating away knowledge. Obviously, libraries exist in the public
Mm.
institutions, but that's the sort of closest argument I could use, that it's gating away knowledge to those who have to be part of the club, so to speak.
Mm. I guess so. Yeah, I always saw, being able to read the memories of the skulls. I always saw that you're born with it, and you also need to be a female for those powers to manifest. So that's how I looked at it. So they can't they can't teach it because we don't have the capabilities.
You can't teach the extraction of the skulls, but they can share the knowledge because they record it on parchment in the book, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So they can share that around. I think they literally take it off, like with their finger. They take it out of the skull and then ink it on parchment with their finger, as far as I remember.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my main argument for those. Obviously, the Merchant Alliance is the weakest one. They're probably the least corrupt, but they still relying that the GMU exist. And if they disappeared, so would the Merchant Alliance.
That's true. But I mean, it's good profit, like a couple of thousand gold for one chicken. I mean, that's pretty nice. Not gonna lie.
Well, there's another element of that as well that you don't see in game that was brought up by I've seen it in the comments as well, that the Reapers give you all the gold in the chest because it's melted down. But they say you don't get any more in the gameplay. Well, in the gameplay, that wouldn't be fair if Reapers got 10 times as much gold for gold hoarder items with it.
I don't know, man. Gameplay and lore are connected.
Gameplay and lore are connected, but not to the point where it breaks the balance of the game.
I don't know, man. Junior is keeping some gold in his pockets, I feel.
Yeah, to give us. And he says in the book that he chose the Order of Souls quest because gold doesn't bother him because he has enough already.
Okay.
I got it all up here. I got receipts.
Fuck you. You're better prepared than I am. It's like, I'm gonna get in with this, but no.
Gotcha.
You got me.
It's like that meme. You criticize the trading companies, but you participate in them. Checkmate.
How about the Hunters Call then? Are they corrupt?
So no, the Hunters Call are a trading company in the same sense that the Reapers are a trading company. Obviously, Merrick and Co do make profit from making meals, but it's not so much so that they're gating loads of wealth away from you. I think, from what I can tell, they do make a little bit of money off of it, but they're essentially just buying food off you because they really like food.
So they're not real pirates, and the other trade companies are. Is that what you're saying?
Oh no, they're not pirates.
Okay.
You see that because the gold hoarder's been sniveling. Even Humphrey the Hoarder was never a pirate. He just went to the Sea of Thieves to try and get money to pay for medicine for his wife because the GMU bought his house. Bought his shop up.
All right, I didn't know that.
Did you know that?
Wait. No, I didn't. No.
Yeah, I'll send you the comics eventually.
Share the comics. I knew it. It's got to be something I haven't read yet. All right, cool.
That's a really good one, and I do feel for Humphrey in that one. You'll like that one.
All right. Other arguments. Incompetent Pirate Lord. You can take this one too.
Pirate Lord's just been sat on his ass for the best part of 4 years, isn't he? He's seen this all unfold. I don't know why he's decided now is the bad time to, to step in. But more importantly, he allowed the trading companies to exist. And even the mysterious stranger says they're allowed to stay here as long as they play by the rules. Ramsey's rules, our rules, the Reaper's rules. He always envisioned the Sea of Thieves as a place away from the GMU, from the trading companies, but he got complacent because he wanted an easy life. And That's not what the Sea of Thieves was for. Even he says that in the book.
Yeah, that's true. It changed a little bit, but I just see it as there's some enrichment, like I mentioned before, that the companies bring to us. They are pretty corrupt, but they also enrich the lore for us. Let's be fair. And if the merchant alliance wasn't there, we could get 0 gold for turning in chickens. So there's some good things for that, and I feel as long as everybody can do what they want to do, then the pirate lord is happy. And as soon as there's a company that gets too big and wants to rule over everyone, that's when he steps in, and that's how I see it.
What? So he's allowed to make the rules, but no one else is allowed to change the status quo.
He is the pirate lord.
He's the pirate lord, and to be fair to him, that was not a title he bestowed upon himself, but other people elected him, so to speak. But it was all fine when he was sailing with Athena's Fortune as a company, quote unquote company, sort of like a fleet. But the trading companies directly came from his failures with the Gold Hoarder and from him being a bad captain. And he failed to squash that. And he did that because he was changed by Mercia on how the Sea of Thieves should be about all this knowledge and curses, etc. But he lost sight of what would happen in his complacency under his nose. And surely a pirate lord would want to protect a pirate paradise for exactly what it should be, without trading companies, without the GMU.
I guess so.
I think people make the mistake of when I make arguments that I think Ramsay's a bad dude. I don't think so. I really do like the pirate lord as a character because he's a very flawed and almost grey character, despite him being generally good. But he's this guy who almost should have been the good Flameheart, but was too complacent to see what was happening right in front of him, and he's ended up creating his own worst enemies through this, as it seems we're going to find out in the book as well.
Yeah, but he's getting his wake up call with the Veilstones, and now he's stepping in.
He's actually been a lot more competent than Bell, to be fair to him.
Yeah. But he still treats it like some fun adventure, right? Oh guys, you got the Veilstones. Let's drink some grog now. It's like
gets the tank that Ramsay at 7 a.m.
Yeah, I mean every adventure for him is just an excuse to get to the end.
we're patching the ship, and he's like, "Oh, well done. Can you patch the ship? Did you see what we just went through? You just appear right at the end, just like Shores of Gold all over again." You're telling me you could appear this whole time and you just didn't tell us. You just appeared in this cave, and we've been through all those traps.
Let's not think all too much about this.
I could hear you shaking your head then.
All right, let's crack on with the threat of the captain. So his argument is obviously the Flameheart can deal with the captain, and the other pirates cannot. Which I actually don't agree with at all. Like it's like you say, oh, Flameheart is more powerful, but he is obsessed with power and he wants more power. But it doesn't mean that he is powerful. We defeat them time and time again with this ghost fleet. So let's be fair, like we can stop him easily. So I always see, like, if the captain comes, why not can pirates band together against the captain? We don't need Flameheart for that.
Well, the captain's already almost managed to destroy the Sea of Thieves once with Pirate's Life, with Davy Jones and the Dark Brethren. The issue we see is...
And we defeat them then too.
No, we didn't defeat the captain, we defeated Davy Jones. The captain, from what I can tell, he's more of his cunning is his power, whereas Flameheart does have that. He does have raw power, as we can see when he was in his physical form. He almost brought the Sea of Thieves to his knees, almost. Whereas the captain has been playing a long game here, and he's been recruiting allies, he's been manipulating people. You see he's got the Gold Hoarder, he's got Wanda, he's got Duke, and he had the Siren Queen and David Jones at one point. This sort of power it's almost like mind control is really dangerous. And it's not so much that he gets people on side because he tells them what they want to hear. He almost manipulates them, like he's controlling their mind. It's really weird how he got Duke, for the Siren stuff as well. But the reason why I say Flameheart is more likely to defeat the captain because he's already done it once before. He not yeah, he marooned him on an island and mutinied against him. And those two have got beef. And if it comes down to a straight 1v1 or even like a ship v ship, Flameheart and the Burning Blade's just going to take it. They're just that powerful.
Mm.
Don't forget the Flameheart we see in Ghost form is a weakened version of him as well.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. If he gets his physical form, he'll be more powerful. I agree with that. Yeah.
Imagine a Burning Blade boss fight where every cannon shot's like a keg explosion.
Just rave balls all around.
Oh my god, yeah. That would be mental. I don't think we're going to get that, by the way. But yeah, that's my argument for Flameheart being able to defeat the Catman.
Yeah.
I know you feel differently.
Yeah, I feel we don't really need Flameheart for that. I think if Pies band together, or if we find some artifact, or Bell gives us some insight to defeat the captain, or even the GMU, I think we should be fine. We don't need Flameheart for this.
Cool, fair enough.
All right, so let's move on to his question. We have that too. Is it possible that Golden Sands is the site of Flameheart's return? The servant's dialogue talks about weakening the veil between worlds at Golden Sands, and we know there's portals beneath the island. What if, as it's now such a beacon of energy from the Sea of the Damned, Flameheart himself could potentially be pulled through? So, is it the resurrection side of Golden Sands? What do you think?
So what we have to understand about this story is that Golden Sands' fate isn't going to exactly change a whole lot. Rare have already written it. And I think Flameheart's return will be to do with the Veil of the Ancients instead. But who's not to say that Golden Sands might be changed into a Reaper outpost or a point where the Sea of the Damned is weakened? I mean, we can already see the Phantoms coming through, can't we? It could be a base for Flameheart's hideout when he comes back. That's something they could obviously change from the Reaper's hideout to Golden Sands as like a strong point. But I don't think the actual island itself will be needed to bring him back into his physical form, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And you bring up an interesting point too, and let's discuss it now because both sides are saying, well, if we save it or we destroy it, there's going to be big change to Golden Sands, and I do agree with that. Either way, it's going to be big. I don't think it's going to be an outpost, not in the traditional sense, because you do need it. You need the companies to have an outpost. It's as simple as that. Because it can't be a spawn without it. Because you need the mysterious stranger there, who is Athena's fortune support. Obviously, you need the gold orders there to do your very first voyage, do the little tutorial. So, and even then, if you spawn there and there's no trading companies, and you want to do a gold order vault mission or something, you need to sell to another island. So I don't think it's going to become a Reaper outpost. And also another Reaper's hideout sounds really lame to me personally, because that's not good for the PvP. Like the thing about Reaper's hideout is the fact that it's only one, kind of in the middle of the seas, which promotes PvP because you know where the Reapers are going to turn in and you can see them on the map. And if you have two outposts, it's going to be, they're going to run even more, the Reapers. So yeah, I don't want that happening. I don't see that happening. No.
I think the most likely thing it will be if Reapers win will be some sort of stronghold. Not so much so that you can turn in, but more so like a lore one. Maybe Flameheart will bring back stone walls to defend it, and that will be the start of the invasion point. But I don't think it'll be a turning point, or it possibly could be like a Reaper faction sort of hideout where you buy your cosmetics and stuff. Where that could either be under the Reaper's hideout if Golden Sands is saved, or at Golden Sands if it isn't.
Yeah, or still at Reaper's hideout, right? Because they have dogs there. They're not populated yet.
True.
Okay, so the thing I want to mention is I don't think whatever is going to be the outcome of Golden Sands, I don't think it will have an impact on the story immediately. I do believe Rare has, left in the option for the story to go either way. So whatever it's going to be, it's not going to be immediately. It will happen, a couple of months later. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be two phases to that, where if it stays as it is and Reapers do win, it will be the Phantoms there and the NPCs will clear out, but that'll be it for a few months. Vice versa, if it's saved, the NPCs will still be rebuilding and Merrick will move back to wherever he's going. And then eventually, like Adventure 6, maybe after that, it'll be up and running to its full capacity, whatever outcome that is.
Yeah, whatever outcome it is, indeed. I will, and this is just speculation. But I will be really disappointed if it's just a shrouded island. The Flameheart Junior was talking about that. We'll keep it remain shrouded, and that's our goal. And we're not gonna do anything with that. They're not hinting of doing anything with it. So I really hope that's not gonna be the case. Also, Rare tweeted it as well. They tweeted, "If you wish to side with the Servant of the Flame, leaving Golden Sands and Shrouded in Fog, you can do this and this to do that." So they're not saying changing. They're really putting an emphasis on Enshrouded in Fog. It's going to remain that way. I don't know if that's just to keep the real plans hidden for us. But yeah, if it's just going to be Fog for the rest of the game, I'll be really disappointed.
If it's any
Yeah.
comfort, Rare have been very adamant that they're not going to talk about the plans for either outcome.
Hmm.
Because I think that may make the view biased, and you're making a more
Yeah.
informed decision, but
Yeah.
it could unfairly affect one side to win. Because I'm just using this for example. Now we don't know if it turns into a fort for Flame Up. People are like, that's really cool. Let's do Reapers.
Hmm.
Versus, oh, it's going to be Golden Sands with more defenses and maybe like a Hunter's Call trading post. Like, people are going to go for the cooler option. So I think keeping it
Hmm.
based on ideals and argument and sort of what the community is talking about is a much better way of, you know, keeping
Yeah.
people in as fair as possible, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And come on, from a commercial perspective, it's also smart to do that, because you keep the traffic going, you keep stuff like this podcast going. So it's just smart to not reveal your plans entirely.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I can
but
comfortably
yeah,
say, regardless of the outcome, it's going to be a big change on each side. So don't worry about
yeah,
it being nothing or boring. I think there's
yes,
going to be a significant change enough to think that mattered.
yes, I totally agree. Both gonna have big changes, no matter what side is gonna win. However, to come back to the question of Ewash, big things, yes, but me personally, I don't think it's gonna be Flame's return at all.
No, I don't think so. I'm sorry, Walsh. That will be happening. That's like 100% happening, but I don't think it's related directly to this.
I All right, let's go to Firebird. His argument kind of touched upon this. I hate doing that. That's why we do the mentionable now first, so we don't repeat ourselves. But I think we might in this one. All right, his argument is I think Golden Sands must be destroyed for more content. If we save Golden Sands, we will be going back to the stalemate we had before. Golden Sands was attacked, and all that work we have done in the adventures was a waste of time. But if Golden Sands is taken over, we would have more chances for game content and a sense of accomplishment. Yeah, just like we just talked about, I don't think that's going to be the case. I feel if we save Golden Sands, we will get more content just differently. It's going to be big either way.
If you're on the fence of still who you're doing your points for, Golden Sands won't be the same again. Even if it's saved, it won't look like Golden Sands. There will be changes to the island. If that's okay with you, then go Golden Sands. But um, it's just not going to return to exactly how it was, because that would be a really stupid design decision.
Yeah, totally agree.
At least keep the
Uh,
cannons.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's great. And then we will want cannons on all the islands. Anyways, next one comes from Jammed. Very short. We just want drip in it. We don't want to be glow sticks. So he is talking about possible rewards that the factions can give us. Obviously, we think the Reaper faction is going to give us a Skeleton Curse, and the Athena's faction, which I personally I like to see it as Merrick's side, not the Athena side, but that's just me. But the Athena side will give us a ghostly curse. That's the assumption. So, do we believe in these curses?
So I've spoken to various people, and some are adamant the Skeleton Curse isn't coming because of how much time it takes to implement and like the modeling and crap. Like, it could be the reason why Rare hasn't been releasing a lot of cosmetics as a whole, because they're spending a lot of time rigging this sort of shit. Um, but if it were to occur and we had to make a choice, it needs to be a permanent choice. Or if you decide to change sides, say we had a faction war proper in, say, season 8, for example, um, you can't have both, because there's people that whine that want everything, but to make the situation more rewarding and then more gravity and more commitment, I think it's one or the other, and if you want to change side, you pay stupid amount of gold and you lose one of the curses. You can only have one or the other. I think you probably feel differently about this.
Yeah, I don't want them to do that, and I think they're not gonna do that actually, because even with this adventure, we can play both sides and get all the rewards. But if you want the side to win, you need to put some extra effort in that, and I think that's an indicator of how it's going to be in the future, or at least how I want it to be in the future, because we're obviously going to play together. Different sides are going to be on the same ship, and I want both curses. If I had to choose, I want Skeleton Curse, but I also want a Ghost Curse if that's a possibility.
Yeah, I do see that argument, and actually, it's a funny point. I'll bring up more on this topic. We haven't sailed together, and we won't be sailing together until this is over, which is pretty amazing because the different sides.
It's I like to think it's not because of this adventure. It's just I've not been feeling well. We've both been busy. We're both busy people. We haven't got the chance to play together. That's how I like to see it. But if this adventure wasn't there, would we have sailed by now? Probably.
The olive branch, full disclosure, the olive branch has been offered to me, and I've spat in his face. That's what's happened.
It's true.
He's like, "Oh, do you want to do Legend of the Veil this week?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna carry on doing the Golden Sand stuff. Sorry."
That's true. And I haven't really played all that much, but the times that I've played, I've only been busy trying to save Golden Sands.
See, it changes people.
I'm doing my part. Okay. So, is it a good argument? I want certain cosmetics. I want Skeleton Curse. That's why I side with Reapers now.
Yeah, if it's down to it, people are going to decide which curse they want. I don't think it's going to happen, but if that was to happen, that's a fair enough argument. Go with what's cooler. And we need more Reaper cosmetics. We'll be getting more soon.
Yeah, I do agree with all of that, but I don't think they'll be locking away content. So, you don't change your choice on that, I would say. All right, so Jack has a question. This one is aimed at you. Would you rather Hunters win or Reapers lose?
By definition, Reapers losing doesn't mean the Hunters win, but the Reapers aren't losing, and they're not going to lose. See, I said it first. So to answer your question, Jack, I'd rather Reapers lose as long as Hunters will win. Oh, sorry, as long as Hunters don't win. There.
Okay, gotcha. All right, there you go.
If we lose now after saying that, I'm going to feel very silly. But so far, we're doing very well.
Yeah, you guys are doing actually really well. It's never been in the favor of saving Golden Sands, sadly, even though we're doing our best. And we're not going to give up. It's going to happen. Like, we're going to have our paradise again. Just you wait and see. But Reapers have been doing a bit better, that's true.
What is it, coming up to 24 hours that we've had the lead now? For the fourth time?
Yeah, I guess so. You were really in the lead when it just launched. It was like 28% or something like that. And then we got it to 50-50 and then 45-55, but never in our favor.
Just got to keep the pressure is all.
Yeah, what happened? Like, you will lose steam. You're like, oh, we've done enough, Reaper. Well, we don't want to do the robots anymore. And then we're like, ha, let's deliver some wood at the end of the voyage. Let's go. And then we'll win. It's gonna happen, man.
If this carries up much longer, the will of the hunter is going to be broken. His ship is broken. It is ours, father.
All right, I think we need to move on. Next question comes from Gunnar. Do you think this event is rigged by the devs to one side? I have a few friends that think it is and are participating just to get the cosmetics. I really think and hope it's not. So, do we think this event is rigged?
No, it's definitely not rigged. I think people get that feeling because of the polls and how they see opinions online. You see that with anything when votes come into play, but voting is not the same as people going out and playing the game. And I think, and people are going to hate this, I think just casual players prefer the Reapers. It's like the most popular faction. How often do we battle against Reapers that are just casual players and they don't have two thumbs, you know? And I think another element is it to the casual player that doesn't watch YouTube, they don't go on Twitter, they don't use Reddit. They're just going to see we can go with the Reaper dude this time. Let's just do it because that seems more fun. We've not done it before, and I think that's where the advantages come from.
Yeah, I guess so too, and I do agree with that to a certain extent. That Reapers is a bit more fun. Yeah,
I do know a lot of people that throw the argument that you've got content creators on your side. This is rigged. It's easier for the Reapers to deliver stuff, etc., etc.
Yeah, we get paid, by the way, to pick a side, just so you know.
Yeah, I got $6,000 from Rare for picking Reaper. I mean, I wasn't cut that out, cut that out. No, it's just that I think a lot of YouTubers have and streamers have gone for Reapers just because it's a little bit more interesting and we haven't done it before. And people
Yeah.
do influence other people on what they're going to do, but it's not enough in the Sea of Thieves player base to make that big a difference. It's basically your casuals that are voted on this.
Yeah, I do agree. But it does make you wonder, because the game mechanics they introduced to pick a side, delivering wood and blowing up rowboats, that's new. How do you say? That's new code they need to write because they haven't done that before. So do we really think they made all these new behind the scenes adjustments just for picking a side? It would be easier not to do it and just press a button at the end.
Yeah, but it's not so much your votes on who's going to win, but who works hardest, like it would be in a real war. So just because you've got more people doesn't mean you win a war, does it?
Yeah, no, I agree. But I'm just using this as an argument for why it could be rigged because it's more work.
Now, I think I say this obviously a bit biased because Sea of Thieves partner, etc., etc. But they could be lying to us. It's not. I promise you, it's not rigged.
Yeah, it's not rigged. I agree with that. They're Rare doesn't do that. They
Rare
really
would
don't.
not do that in good faith. They get a lot of shit for certain stuff. They hit reg and stuff, but they generally a really good dev team, and they wouldn't do that. Don't forget, one last point on this. This is a lot of fun for them as well. Like, imagine if you really like Sea of Thieves and this is your work, and you're releasing this thing that gets all this community engagement. Everyone's talking about it. People making videos, Twitter polls, Reddit posts, propaganda, etc. And you have certain Rare devs like Joe's Reaper, Mike's Save Golden Sands. You've got Joe Toro, who's going out and saving Golden Sands as a community manager. This is exciting for them as well. I don't think you can feign that, and I don't think it would be in good faith to feign all that excitement either.
I indeed. Yeah, you feel just like a hack. You get depressed.
Yeah, exactly. I
And
don't think. Sorry, I don't
yeah,
think people can fake that.
yeah, they don't seem depressed. As soon as the developers start to look depressed, they're faking it, but they're not.
Exactly.
He also has an argument. Golden Sands is just another outpost for emissaries to run and sell. Who needs all these outposts when nearly everything goes to the hideout anyway? Well, I say I want another spawn in the shows of Plenty because I love that region. How do you feel about that? We kind of touched upon this before, but
I haven't really missed Golden Sands. The only time I use the other trading companies is for emissary ledgers and like commendations, but most of the time Reaper's the best place to turn in because you get a bonus for everything, and you get to fight
yeah,
people more as well.
I do agree with that. Obviously, I'm a Reaper too. Don't get me wrong. Like I love playing the Reaper emissary. Even when I'm defending Golden Sands, I'm flying the Reaper emissary. I mean, come on, it's just money, Well, anyways, but to me, this picking sides has always been really easy because Golden Sands is my favorite outpost, and I want my favorite outpost back. And that's my main argument, and it's also very personal. And all the other arguments I make for saving Golden Sands, it's all dressing. I just want my Pirate Paradise back. That's the main reason.
If it was Ancient Spire, if it was Crux Hollow, if it was Thieves Haven, my favorite islands, I'd still destroy it. I've got too much conviction at this point.
Damn.
Old, yeah.
Damn. Indoctrinated. That's how we call it.
I would destroy Ancient Spire for the Servant of the Flame. Don't at me.
All right. And his final argument is, I think the story could go in a much more interesting direction with more power given to Flameheart. And I agree with that, but I also think the story is going to be interesting no matter what side we choose.
Yeah, I agree completely with that one.
All right, nice. So let's go to the final message. It comes from Brimstone. Looking at this as a company would, and he's talking about Rare, their choice is already predetermined. This is just to get a lot of players involved to play before a big change occurs. The Reaper faction will win to further the story, and no, the island won't be a second place to sell Reaper stuff. If they wanted to keep Golden Sands, it wouldn't have been shrouded in the fog in the first place. This is just to ease players into and get them used to this big change for that region. That's what I think anyway. Could be wrong though. So I really like that he's very talking with conviction in this in his entire message. At the end, oh, I could be wrong with this. So glad you have that perspective too, Brimstone. And I disagree. I don't think this is the case. Like we mentioned before, I don't think the choice is predetermined. I do believe that a big change will occur, but they have two big changes planned.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Blubber. I just don't think Rare would go through all of this as a mirage, as a facade of change. Like, they change things because they want to change them, and they'll implement things and put all this effort in the web page, the marketing, the trailer. They wouldn't spend all that money just for something they could have done in a lot cheaper way. Um, and the way this is done is to encourage player engagement, and it's in bad faith if you've already decided what's happening. You just get people to play because that could leak at any time, and people will be really pissed off about it. Um,
Yes.
and things do leak a lot in Sea of Thieves as well through glitches or people, breaking NDAs, etc. Or even maybe staff themselves leaking stuff. I'm not saying that we've got examples of that, but if that came out, shit would hit the fan and they would lose a lot of faith in the community. So I don't think they'd even risk it.
I totally agree with that. No, it will even their entire reputation is because they're so open developers, and they're not gonna put that online. No, they won't.
No, I agree.
All right. So thanks again to those that submitted their questions, and again, make sure to join the Salty Hippo Discord if you want to submit your own. Like I said before, I always post an announcement when we are close to recording a new episode. I also want to take this opportunity to remind our listeners that this podcast is also on Spotify and Amazon Music. So if that's more convenient to you, you can listen to us there. And you can also follow us on Twitter at BestCOT Podcast. Link will be in the description. Like I mentioned before, this is not the end of the podcast because we have some other arguments left that we will discuss right now. So the first one, and I gotta give it to you, Ray. The Reaper side is just a little bit more fun to play.
I've been having loads of fun. What I do, spoilers, I park my ship at not Golden Sands, at Reaper's Hideout. I start the quest with the servant, row to Twin Groves, row to Cannon Cove, and then row on to Golden Sands, and then Mermaid back and repeat. That's guaranteed 2 points each time. And once I'm bored of that, I'll just scour the islands for random rowboats, and I know which ones spawn them and which ones don't, and just do sort of drop bys. It's been a lot of fun. I'm not bored of it yet, and I've got about 76 points so far, and I haven't even had a full day of doing it yet. So yeah, it's a 4-day weekend in the UK. So
yeah, you've put in more hours than me for sure. Yeah, I know you have zero social life, right? Don't you?
I cheeky bastard. I've been doing some on my lunch break at work. Shh.
All right.
I'm allowed to do that. I work from home.
Yeah, I can tell some stories, but I won't. What I do want to say, Reaper side is a bit more interesting. Like I like the rowing. You feel like a sneaky Reaper. I do like that. Only did it once. I mean, because of course I only did it once. I do have to say the voyage that Merrick gives you is not super interesting, but it is a lot of fun to defend Golden Sands. Like if you see Reaper's ship, I put my cosmetics on. I put my the OG Shores of Plenty sails that I got earned when I was really sick. I put those on, and I defend Golden Sands. It's a lot of fun, and then you steal. Everybody's carrying planks and fruit crates on their ships these days, and then you steal them, and then you turn them in at Merrick, and you can rack up a lot of points that way. So that's how I do it, and that's a lot of fun. So even though the adventure is a bit meh, defending Golden Sands in your own way can really enhance. It does really enhance the gameplay for sure.
I don't know what Merrick's side is like because I've not done it yet.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm being serious. I might not even finish it. I haven't given them a point yet, so I won't. I maybe just stick with my convictions and lose out on the sales and the title.
Oh, wow! And then you make a video about it, and I can put them on for you.
Nah, I will probably finish them on the last day, but
Okay.
I haven't decided if I want to give up those 2 points.
You should at least make a clip of all the conversations, man. They're gonna disappear, and as a content creator, you do want it, I believe.
But how would the followers feel? How would they feel if I break my vow to destroy Golden Sands?
I mean, it's just do some extra reapers that day to make up for it. That's what I did. I did some more golden sands to make up for it. So
Okay, right. 2 points is a lot, mate. It could decide it.
maybe I hope so. Uh, so just going over the notes. Actually, we did talk about a lot of stuff that we don't with mention in a bottle. We talked about losing the outpost. We don't think that's going to be the case at all. They're going to do something with it either way. I feel the Shores of Plenty should be beautiful. I'm a bit fearful about that because if the Reapers win and we get something else with that island, even if it's going to be big, I don't want another Shrouded Island, especially not in the Shores of Plenty because it does kind of ruin the view a little bit. Don't know how you feel about that.
It's you got to break a few eggs to make an omelette, don't you? If this means you get a skeleton curse, then I'll shroud the whole of Shores of Plenty if I have to. Ancient Isles still exist, and even then, I'll do it to the Ancient Isles and the Wilds. I'll do it to the whole of the map if I get a skeleton curse and Flameheart's jacket.
All right, there we go.
Dealing with a zealot here.
Yeah, we are. So this one is really interesting because I've used it in my arguments and you used it in your argument as well. But we're using the same argument, and that argument is my side offers true freedom. So why does your side offer true freedom?
The only rule is there are no rules. That's true freedom, isn't it?
Guess so, but
before you bring up King, Flameheart, and Ruler, right? King is not a dirty term that you think it is. There's been a lot of monarchs that have been very favourable in the past. And a lot of monarchs have defended their country, just like Flameheart would defend the Sea of Thieves. But in all seriousness, just because he will be a king doesn't mean he'll rule with an iron fist. It could mean that he just enforces that there are no rules. If you protect the Sea of Thieves from outside forces or trading companies, but leave everyone, your subjects, to do what they want, that's still freedom.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. I feel he will rule with an iron fist for sure. Like he's an evil guy. It's his way or the highway, right?
Evil. Flameheart hasn't done anything that's particularly evil. Not that would be outside the realms of our moral compass anyway. Do you kill people in Sea of Thieves?
Well. I don't lock their souls away in a chest.
He did that just so he could turn Stitcher Jim into an Ashen Lord. He released them afterwards.
Oh yeah, and that was not evil at all, tricking Stitcher Jim.
Stitcher Jim, the person who tricks everyone and backstabs everyone, gets his comeuppance, and apparently that's wrong.
Well, you take away his chance of redemption by doing that. That's what Flamer did. Yeah.
He deserved it.
Oh, so if your faction decides they're not worthy of freedom, it's all good?
Well, Stitcher Jim's had his freedom taken away.
Yeah, he's obeying Flameheart as an Ashen Lord, presumably.
If he turns into an Ashen Lord.
If he turns into an Ashen Lord, but that was the plan. Like, come on, let's not try to talk this right. Like, it was pretty nasty of Flameheart to trick Stitcher Jim that way.
Stitcher Jim decided to follow Flameheart, and he should have read the terms and conditions of what that entailed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're telling me Stitcher Jim is someone that doesn't deserve his comeuppance?
He deserves his chance at redemption, and that's taken away.
He had his chance at redemption when he covered for Duke, but he tricked him. And then when he gets tricked by someone who's wittier than him and outplays him, he doesn't like it.
Okay, it just doesn't sound like somebody I want to follow that does that. Just saying.
Okay, so if Ramsay gives someone their retribution like he did to those pirates who stole the merfolk, is that okay? Yeah, it is okay, because they shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
so
it's
no different.
Yeah.
And this isn't a whataboutism. This is the moral compasses that we all follow on the Sea of Thieves. Like, oh, Flameheart's done this, Flameheart's done that, but you go and steal from people all the time, and you go and kill them for that loot. Like, he's never actually killed anyone that we've seen.
Yeah, but he killed people. Come on, and he's definitely the one that tricks people in buying their souls to items. That's definitely up his alley.
But then that's just a means to an end because the ferry exists, isn't it? You buy
And
someone an item to stop them coming back.
yeah, well, it's not really nice. And he trapped the crew of Pendragon too. They would have died if we didn't intervene. Just saying.
They would have stayed in the chest.
Yeah, but that's a fate worse than death. That's the same in my book. That's not nice to do that. You're in a chest for the rest of your life. That's fun. I'd rather be dead.
But here's the difference. That's a means to an end for him. He locks him in the chest so they can curse Stitcher. He can curse Stitcher Jim, right? But when that's done, he doesn't go, "Oh, I'm gonna be spiteful and just destroy the chest or leave them there." He says, "Take the chest. I don't need it anymore." Like it's just a means to an end, just like the kidnapping of Golden Sands.
Right. So that's pretty nasty, right? Like the ends justify the means. That's not good.
Yeah, so the ends justify the means, just like he was bound in his remains, or they tried to destroy him permanently because they didn't like what he stood for. Do the ends justify the means then? Yeah, they do. It's not like he's killing people.
What now? He's just locking the souls away. That's way better.
He never even locked their souls away. That was just a threat. Was that probably going to happen? Probably not.
Probably not. Probably not. You're full of shit, man.
He wouldn't have done it, would he? Because he would have done it when Wanda said no.
If we were not there, Pendragon's crew would still be in the chest, and you know it.
Yeah, but Pendragon would have saved them anyway.
Wow, so you're saying Flameheart calculated that Pendragon would return to help us out, so it was alright?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he allowed the souls to be saved because he didn't need them any longer. He's not being spiteful for the sake of it.
Wow, it has just happened that way.
Right,
That's how it is.
This way, if you needed to do something like that to stop Flameheart, would you do it?
Trap people in.
Trap some. Say, for example, you had to trap Servant of the Flames' soul in that chest that he had in the Silver Blade to stop Flameheart. Would you do it? You would, wouldn't you?
Nah, we don't trade lives, Captain.
All right, Captain America. But what I'm saying is, there's examples of lots of characters doing things that are generally immoral just to get to the end goal, and we see that in Sea of Thieves all the time.
I guess so. Let me expand a little bit. He hates the merfolk. If it was up to Flameheart, he would destroy all the merfolk.
But we don't know why that is, do we?
No, we don't know what it is. We have our speculations, but generally, what we know from the merfolk, and I'm not talking about the sirens, I'm talking about the merfolk, they are really nice because they help us find the ship and they help us repair it and all that stuff. And he wants them gone.
Yeah.
So that's not really nice.
Well, that's because they have a pact with the Pirate Lord. That's not because they did that off their own back. The Pirate Lord saved one of their own.
Oh, so it's okay to kill an entire race if they associate with your enemy?
Kill the merfolk, does it?
Well, it's implied.
He just says he wants his revenge against them. Revenge implies that he was wronged by them.
Well, he's gonna write an angry letter. I don't know, like a warrior, a warmonger like Flameheart. His revenge is gonna involve burning stuff, for sure.
Hang on, so again, we're talking about the merfolk that shunned the sirens for being different. They're being racist now, are they?
Wow.
I don't mean that. That's a joke.
See your brain works now. Like you spin everything in your side. You're corrupted, man.
The point is, there's two sides to each argument here. So
Obviously,
of course, yeah, we got the whole lore about the sirens and the merfolk and the ancients because we see them as benevolent in our game. But when we get the reveal that they shunned the sirens for being different because they didn't want humans and merfolk to be married or whatever the story was, and the ancients they murdered a man because they saw it, upsetting the balance of the Sea of Thieves. Does the end justify the means then for them? Of course it did. So
okay.
You can argue that these benevolent creatures and races or species in Sea of Thieves do these bad things because they have to and they've got no other choice. Would you call the ancients all bad or the merfolk all bad for doing what they did during the Siren War?
No, it's all
Exactly.
So
this is the whole point that we're toying with each day. Is like, do you do you do what you do? Do you do bad things to get a good outcome, or do you not do that and possibly get a worse outcome? That's the whole idea I'm going with here. Don't read too much
Hmm.
into it. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Obviously,
Oh, I know you are. I mean,
yeah,
we've done this before off podcast too. I know how it works.
yeah, of course. Just this is for the listeners now for don't know our
I,
debates. But obviously, Flameheart
I,
doing bad things is bad. I'm not going to deny that, but I'm just trying to point out that we see this all the time in the Sea of Thieves. Like the
right.
Merfolk argument you brought up.
Yeah, it would be interesting to learn more about Flameheart's motivations. It will help these discussions for sure.
I think, just briefly, they've allied with Ramsay and somehow helped bind him or defeat him in the book. But we'll see what happens.
All right, fair enough. I had another argument. It's probably my weakest, but Merrick deserves to be happy. Because Merrick is a fan favorite, and why wouldn't you side with your fan favorite?
True, Merrick is a fan favorite, but I would say Flameheart is a fan favorite as well.
Yeah, to you.
To me and a lot of other players, and he's used a lot in the marketing. But does Merrick's happiness really balance on Golden Sands being saved?
No, it doesn't. I feel a happy marriage would do him better than bringing Golden Sands back.
I also
But wait. I do want to say, like we read in the journals, that Merrick's self-esteem is pretty low, and he doesn't believe he can save Golden Sands. Merrick thinks it's already done, but Bell convinces Merrick, like, no, I believe in you, and because Bell believes in Merrick, he starts to believe in himself again. And if Golden Sands get destroyed, I will feel bad for Merrick because of this. So there you go.
Yeah, I would feel bad for Merrick as well. Not necessarily his fault because Belle isn't really doing anything to help other than what she did off screen with the relics, with the relic
Mm-hmm.
caches. So, if anything, she should be leading the charge, not putting all this weight on Merrick alone. But then he does say at the end of Shrouded Deep that he is going to go to Golden Sands and help them rebuild. Belle didn't send him there.
Another argument. We'll have a couple more. You will be cast aside like Stitcher Jim and One Night Before if you side with Flameheart.
Well, have we done anything to? Hang on, whoa! That's a straw man argument. Because Stitch Jim, like I said, he was someone that Flameheart wouldn't trust anyway because of his act of betraying, and he sort of had this come in. Wanda didn't betray them, or Flameheart didn't betray her. Wanda was infatuated with Flameheart. She loved him or fancied him, whatever you want to call it. But he didn't reciprocate feelings, and then she was like, "Oh, he's actually just doing this because he wants to be king." And she didn't see that the whole time, so that's really on her for falling in love with him. He didn't
Yeah, okay, but
cast her out.
wow, it's felt like that.
She made that decision herself.
Well, and Junior, who is on the Reaper side, does want to kill Wanda for what? Because she walked away.
Yeah.
Because she got hurt. Because she's love broken, and you want to kill somebody because of that? I don't know, man.
It's the betrayal that's happened because of it, isn't it? Flameheart's not betrayed her, but she, in Junior's eyes, has betrayed him by walking away from the situation because he didn't reciprocate her love.
Mm-hmm.
So Wanda wasn't so much betrayed by Flameheart as she decided not to. But yeah, why would Flameheart have any reason to turn against his Reapers who've delivered him the Sea of Thieves?
I don't know. I think when he, I don't know, we'll see. I don't know. He seems like the betrayer type of guy to me.
He only betrays people who either deserve it or he has something to benefit from it.
Yes.
Betraying the Reapers.
I don't know. Like, as soon as his goals are there and he decides you're not worthy anymore, he can cast you aside.
People always make the mistake as well as interpreting Servant of the Flame as Servant of Flame Heart, not the Flame. Well, the Flame is a representation of chaos and anarchy because it spreads like wildfire, doesn't it? So another thing you have to bring in to the nuance as well, that Flameheart and his son do have a father-son relationship that is based on love, not this whole using thing that people seem to think that's happening.
Yeah, but I do want to see more of that because this love between parent and son is big in the novel, but not really in the game yet. So I do want to see more of that. I want to know what the relationship is now because we haven't heard Flameheart speak about Junior at all. Only the other way around. So I am wondering what it is now.
We do see still in the novels there has been interaction here, talking about he should have discretion, and he's taught him things that 1,000 scholars can do. So they're obviously on good terms, and he's sharing stuff with the servant that he's obviously not sharing with other people. So I can't see a betrayal happening between Flameheart and the servant of the Flame. I think that's going to be a relationship that just stays close. Like, even then, if it's just the two of them against the world.
Interesting. Because I'm gonna give spoilers for my upcoming video that will release Sunday. Keep an eye for that. But I do mention that I want to see more sides picking against each other, where it's not just gonna be a representative of Athena versus a representative of the Reaper. I would like to see Bell against Duke, for example, or maybe even Flameheart Jr. against his father.
Or Flameheart Jr. against his father.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know if you'd get that, but I'd like to see the servant versus Wanda. That would be a cool dynamic.
Yep, I totally agree with that, and I want to make them interesting as well because I'm typically a good guy. I like to be good in video games. This time I just want Golden Sands back. That's the main motivation. I told it before. It's my favorite outpost. But I do want to see more decisions where it's more tempting to choose the bad side, even for me, or where it's not exactly good versus evil, but more like the Dark Brethren against the Reapers. Like two somewhat evil factions against each other, where we need to choose. I think that can be really interesting, as opposed to just Athena versus Reapers all the way.
Yeah, I'd like to see that dynamic expanded, and with the Dark Brethren being a third faction, I think we might be getting that. We'll see when they come back.
3 options instead of 2, maybe.
Maybe if it's like a big seasonal focus thing. I don't know.
We'll see. Future can be exciting. Last argument: the bad guys never get to win.
I don't get this one because Flameheart's won a lot, even if he's been defeated in a world event, which isn't kind of canon.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, because that's how I felt as well. Because I felt that Flameheart was winning all the time. All the time he's getting more power. We try to stop him, but that never works. He's always coming out better. Except with the Legend of the Veil story, that's the only time where we actually hamper his progress a little bit. And even then, there's debate like, oh, was his plan all along? But we'll save that for another one. So I never seen that they were losing all the way. I always thought like they're always winning. And now we have this adventure where we can finally get some impact and finally stick it to him, so he's not always winning anymore. And that's how I see this adventure now.
Yeah, because if we just briefly cover his victories, he managed to get the Fort of the Damned working. Or in fact, let's just go back even further. He managed to influence Wanda to start his resurrection way back in Curse Sales. They did lose the Battle of the Outpost, but that's more so Wanda losing that. She survived it, carried on. He got her to come back from the brink, recruited Stitcher Jim, tricked Duke into obviously starting the Reaper's hideout construction, shrouded Fort of the Damned, then brought him back in Seabound Soul in a long bomb of a plan, which was crazy that it worked. Heart of Fire managed to do the ritual without failing, brought his ghost fleets through, Ashen Lords through, even though both of those were technically defeated, and then Shrouded Islands managed to break the veil because of the Soul Flame Captain. Managed to get all he wanted out of Wanda, etc., apart from turning her into the Warsmith. It was too late to save them completely there from getting that information out of them. And now we see him possibly shrouding Golden Sands. So Flameheart is, like you said, pretty much always in the lead. He's like 2 steps ahead of us. I disagree completely with that argument. I think the Reapers or Flameheart is always winning.
Yeah, totally agree. So now is the time to stop him, boys. Save Golden Sands. Are you ready for the last segment?
Yes, this is quite a chunky episode, isn't it?
It is a chunky episode. Normally it was like, let's not do this last segment, but it is interesting, so I do want to discuss this. Because I want to discuss having community-based decisions in general, because do we really want them? I'm on the positive side, since I feel there are a lot of benefits to picking sides. Obviously all the traffic for content creators, all the traffic for the game, more players are engaged. It's all good. And Rare is also handling this well. I feel like they don't lock content away, for example. But there are also some downsides to this, and I did want to discuss these. So The first one is it's not really democratic, because all the polls say that most people want to save golden sands. However, that's not, we don't see that in the results. It's 50-50, or Reapers are slightly winning. So it's not democratic, but more about who puts the most hours in. So is this a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. So this is going to come off as really crass, but I don't care. We have this issue with Rare. They always cater to the casual player, like the lowest common denominator. I think when it comes to a community decision like this, the most engaged players they're obviously garnering the most votes, and we should go on what the most engaged players want and who puts the most work in, rather than just voting in a poll. Rather than it's who wants it more, rather than who votes more. Or sorry, who wants it more than who has the most votes.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that, because it rewards players that play more. The only downside to this is that if future adventures or future choices are going to be, Reaper versus Athena, then while we can kind of expect Reapers always winning, because it's we've seen it in the past, and people like me will get frustrated with that, because it's always the other side that's winning then, and that I don't know, I don't see that as a positive, and that's why I hope we'll see different dilemmas in the future.
That's a good way around it, but you could also argue there could be a Reaper version or Reaper decision that I don't agree with that might really affect me to the point where I won't support it. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Killing merfolk babies in their sleep.
No, still going to do that. No, if they did, no, we just smash the eggs of a giant hammer or something. No, if there was something like, if Reapers win, then everyone gets the Ferryman set and Obsidian Blunderbuss, then maybe I'd fight a bit harder for the Reapers not to win. Or them to bring back the Hungering Deep tattoos if Reapers win. Something stupid like that would get me to change my mind, but you do raise a good point.
Yeah.
But then,
so they need to be careful with that. Yeah,
they do need to be careful. But I think, if it's just a vote, does a day one player have? This is going to sound really rude, but again, I don't care. But is a day one player's vote more important than the players been playing for 3 years?
Well, I no.
Exactly. Like if someone comes and says this game needs PvE servers, I got sunk. It's my first day. It's not fair, and people turn around and say, yeah, that's stupid. Like you don't know how to play this game. When it comes to something like this, like the most engaged players should be rewarded with the side they want more, and I think that's the various way they're going to do it. Because you saw people with the polls come up and saying, "Oh, Reapers are going to lose," and I thought it was based on the polls, but obviously the more engaged players like Reapers more.
Yep. And it's funny because we have a big community of people we sail with, and often we choose Reapers because it's just fun to do, and all those players are also doing Reapers now, regardless of if they want golden sands saved. It's just more fun to be Reapers, and they put in the hours. So there you go.
Exactly, yeah. So it's the best way they can do it until it becomes not the best way, but we'll see if these decisions continue in the future.
Yeah, also totally agree. And I do want to emphasize it's also really fun to defend golden sands. If you like PvP, just saying, get the sales, do the rounds. Another downside to these community-based decisions is that we see alliance servers pop up that fight for their side. So you get 6 ships on a server or 5 ships, whatever it is now, and people are just grinding out these adventures. So is that a good thing, bad thing? How do you feel about that?
Alliance servers going to Alliance server. Then they ruin the game not only for they don't ruin the game for other people because they're on their own servers. So I'll rephrase that. But they ruin the game themselves. If that's how they want to play, and as long as it doesn't affect other people, fair enough. But when it comes to something like this, I don't think Rare. I don't know. I don't think Rare are going to let them get away with it because they distance themselves away from it. You have to understand Alliance servers and rewards are not going to sway the votes of millions. It's going to be millions of votes, isn't it?
Yeah, we had this discussion of podcast first. Like, just do the rounds, do as much as you can do, and if everybody does that, it will reflect it.
So yeah, exactly. Like, say if there's 10 million votes on each side over 2 weeks, how much is 10,000 from an alliance server really going to make the difference? It's not, is it?
I don't have the data, but you're probably right. Another downside is that it's not a crew-based adventure anymore. You mentioned before we haven't sailed together in a while now because of this adventure, and that's a downside. Like you don't want infighting your crew; you want to be like-minded as a crew, and that's not for some crews. That's not happening anymore. So, how do you feel about that?
I think Rare considered this anyway, so the most engaged players will go without it and play with different people for a little bit, and then come back together when it's all sorted. It does really show our convictions that we're not playing with each other until this is done.
I just want to say it's happenstance. We did not plan for it. I feel it's a bit of both. It's a bit, situations, but it's also a bit because of the adventure, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I already mentioned that it would be less fun if it's going to be Reaper versus Athena, and Reaper will be getting all the wins. It will be less fun for players like me. Already mentioned that. Other downsides to these community-based decisions?
We touched on it right at the start, but people just take it way too far. Like, obviously, certain, let's say, social media platforms are just getting a bit out of hand with how people conduct themselves.
Starts with an R.
Yeah, and there's been allegations where it's fixed, or this has been unfair, or people being toxic by picking another side. And just generally some like bad faith comparisons as well. Like obviously we had the discussion of, is this right or wrong before? But when people take it past the point of role playing and a bit of banter, it really does make you look like an asshole. So everyone calm down. Like everything we say to each other is banter and in good faith. Same with our propaganda videos. But don't take it out on each other. It's just a game at the end of the day. And if your side doesn't win, it's not the end of the world.
Nope, indeed. See, I want Golden Sands saved, but I'm sure if Reapers win, there's going to be something there that's going to make me happy either way.
If Golden Sands win, I'm going to be happy they fought for it. That's it, rather than just voting on social media polls.
So even though we pick sides, we can't distance ourselves from that. Yeah.
But I will say, if the Reapers win, I will not be using a social media site that will remain nameless ever again, because I know what it's going to be like on there.
Oh yeah, oh shit, I don't want to hear the comments now. I'll probably get a few on my channel as well.
Yeah, actually, on that topic, if you win, don't go gloating and say, I told you so, when you've just done 2 votes the whole time and other people done heavy lifting. And if you lose, don't say it's rigged, red, rigged this, it was unfair, misinformation, which was an issue at the start, don't get me wrong, but it's happened and you can't change it, so don't be a salty baby about it. I know I won't be.
Nah, I won't be either. It's not in my nature. And at the end of the day, we're all pirates, right?
Exactly. We can resume Legend of the Veil on Friday next week.
And we will.
And we will.
All right. So that's a perfect closure for this podcast. So we've come to the end. I want to thank my wonderful co-host AShinyRay for being amazing. And can you tell our listeners where they can find your content?
Yeah, you can find me at AShinyRay on YouTube or at AShinyRay Quasar on Twitter. Just go and watch the videos, watch the propaganda videos, watch them both, and make up your mind. And as well, make sure you educate yourself on what points actually count and what don't, because I don't want you wasting time for either side, because it's just really frustrating. So yeah, that's my message. Done. All done.
And you can find me on YouTube at Captain Blubber. Just type in Captain Blubber and you will find me. You can also use super thanks to support this podcast and the channel. Only do so if you're able to do so. And if you're not able to do that, you can always leave a like, because that also really helps. So that's it. Thanks again. Drink some grog, kill some reapers, and have an amazing day.
Take care, guys. Bye.